I mean, you've been here for a long time.
I'm old. I'm old.
No, you just started when you were really young, right? You recently won an award, CXO of the Year from Utah Business Magazine.
It's easy to get passionate about what we do because our members own the credit union and we exist solely to serve them. That recognition really is a recognition for the credit union and the great things we're trying to do for the members.
In our current economic climate that we're in, what are your thoughts for not just all of us as individuals, but for all those members that we serve out there? How can we help them?
Wow. That's the $1 million question, or $2 or $3 or $4 million question, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what I've found is that most people lack quite a bit of financial knowledge.
Yeah.
And we don't expect them to be experts. That's why we are here, right?
Right.
And so the thing that I would say more than anything is for all of our members is just go in and sit down and have a conversation. Just visit with one of our loan officers, visit with one of our FSRs to sit down and say, hey, let me tell you my situation. This is my income. Here are the debts I have. Here are the interest rates I have. And just let them sit down and go through everything with them to see how we can help them, how we can educate them about the options they have. It's interesting. I've talked to a number of members that, for instance, they have an auto loan. They need their car. They've got to go to work. They've got to run around and do the things they need to each day. But when you ask them a question, you find out, well, they're paying 7% or 8% or 12% interest on that auto loan. And you say, well, with your credit, did you know we could refinance that to a 5% loan? And they look at you and they say, I didn't know you could refinance an auto loan, right? So there's so many ways that we can help people if we can just have those conversations and kind of assess what their needs are. And then from there, it's easy. There are many ways we can help. Yeah,
I love that. And speaking of assessing, we have not a new product. It's more than 10 years old or about that, right?
Yeah.
But My Style Checking, which obviously is specific to Mountain America, but it's rewards checking, basically, which we typically, you don't see that a ton in the market. We do now, 10 years ago, no.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this type of account for our members and really just for people in general?
Well, as you mentioned, about 10 years or so ago, we were kind of one of the first that really introduced a rewards style checking that really rewards the relationship, the activity. And people need to have that type of an account. And so we felt that, well, if we're going to offer that, we might as well offer additional rewards and benefits to members that choose to use that. And so overall, I'm a big proponent of, hey, if I'm going to do something, I might as well get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
And so by offering discounts and other things, we really felt that by introducing that to the marketplace, we could go ahead and really reward that relationship. And our members could use their account and get additional benefits from doing so. That account's worked great. Members have loved it. It's been around for a while. And now we've kind of gone back and looked at it and said, you know what, let's offer some additional rewards. Let's find more ways to really offer benefit to our members that have the My Style checking account. And so that's what our team did. They went out and found some additional benefits that we could offer, different ways to help people with the things that they're already doing, and in many cases spending money for. We thought, gosh, if we could add those at really for our checking account and offer it in a way that they could either choose to pay a monthly fee for it, or there's even waivers so that where they get the benefits for free, then we could add that value that people are looking for and really reward them for their loyalty.
Yeah, I love that because how many other financial institutions out there are rewarding us, right, for having a relationship with them? So really cool. I want to talk about some of these benefits. Obviously, I think one of the most beneficial ones is that 0.25% discount on loan rates, right?
Yes.
I mean, opportunity to save money.
Yeah, that was part of our initial introduction of My Style over 10 years ago, and a 0.25% discount on auto and RV and personal loans. And because of that, we didn't take that away. That discount, that benefit is still there for all My Style accounts, and one that our members have said time and time again with their actions that that's something they love.
Yeah. And then one of the new ones that has been added is something that we're calling telehealth.
Yeah.
Tell me what this is.
Yeah, good question. Gosh, right now we've seen kind of skyrocketing costs for doctor's visits and really in some cases people that don't have insurance or they don't they're having a hard time getting into their doctor or whatever else, they really are struggling to get the help they need. Telehealth is a service that's offered without a copay, or whether you have insurance or not. It doesn't go through your insurance. It's a service that's offered to where someone can reach out to and remotely speak with a doctor and really get the assistance or help they need with, flu or a number of different physical ailments, but also mental, to be able to reach out and get some help and assistance and not have to worry about scheduling time to get in or what the copay is going to be or anything like that. And we just felt that, gosh, there's so many that are either not insured or that don't have the luxury or benefit of being able to have access to readily available healthcare. And so we thought, gosh, if we could offer that type of a benefit to our MyStyle members, then it's something they could also really benefit from.
Well, and that's awesome. I didn't realize that in addition to physical ailments, it can be about mental health
Absolutely.
as well. So that's awesome.
As a result of COVID, unfortunately, probably needed more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. A few other ones that I just want to touch on. Mobile phone protection.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have these phones that cost hundreds of dollars that we can't live without.
Is it just hundreds or is it thousands of dollars?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Gosh. And if you have children that you pay for those phones, how many screens get cracked?
Yeah.
Et cetera,
Yeah.
right?
So just another opportunity to help our members, right? With something that we all have to have, it seems, to live now.
And again, I have replaced multiple or assisted in replacing multiple children's phones. My wife as well, she might not like me to say this, but she's broken her share of screens also. It's something that in our home, and I will just speak for our family, I think my wife, as she set some things up, and I looked at the other day, I think we pay $50 a month in insurance for mobile phone insurance, because it's not a matter of if, it's when a phone's going to get broken. And as you mentioned, we're reliant on our phones. They contain a lot of what we need on a daily basis. And so with this service, it will really provide our member that has MyStyle with up to 2 occurrences a year, where with a $50 copay, they can get coverage up to $850 for a phone. Wow. And again, as I mentioned, for us in our family alone, that's $600 a year that we're spending today that we really won't need to moving forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. Very, very cool. And then you mentioned as part of this, there's a ton of other benefits, but we won't go into every single one of them or we'd be here all day. But again, as part of this, we have the opportunity to either pay a fee for all of these things or you get it waived if you do certain actions. But correct me if I'm wrong, if we add up all of the benefits of this account, it equals $150 a month. Correct. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So even if I were to pay the fee, which is $7,
right.
I mean, I'm still saving $143.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in my example, right, the cell phone protection alone, to pay $7 a month to get rid of $50 a month is a pretty good trade-off. But it is. And as you mentioned, we've just talked about a couple of the benefits, but when you look at the 0.25% discount, telehealth, mobile phone insurance or protection, dark web monitoring, identity theft protection, there are a number of different benefits that are offered for MyStyle. And again, as you mentioned, there are ways that it can be waived and wouldn't cost you anything. And one of those is by swiping your credit or debit card 20 times a month. And quite frankly, how many of us don't do at least that, if not double or triple that, right?
Yeah.
20 a week. So overall, there are definitely ways that it can be waived. But we felt that even at $7 a month, that's less than a lot of other checking products that are out there in the marketplace. And so we felt by offering that type of benefit and having that low fee for those that aren't able to get it waived, it was overall a great win for the membership.
Yeah, love that. And correct me if I'm wrong again, age, right? If I'm over a certain age or under a certain age, I could also get that fee waived.
That's exactly right. Okay. So 60 and older, and I believe it's 26 and under is where that fee's waived. We felt, again, that as people were getting into their senior years, we weren't going to require those swipes. And as they were just starting out and trying to learn how to really use their financial services, it was a great time to really waive that fee as well. So
yeah, and then for all of our members that really, they're like, rewards checking, no, I'm good. Don't need it. We have other options, right?
Yeah, that's something else that we felt really strongly about. At Mountain America, we're all about education. We want to make sure that we're, as I mentioned before, we want to assess what our members' needs are, but we really want to advise them about what options they have. And so if a member feels like, you know what, that's not the product for me, we still have my free checking, which is a free checking account for those that would rather use that. Of course, the benefits aren't there, quite like they are with My Style. All the things we've talked about aren't a part of My Free. And that's at the end of the day, we wanted options for our membership. And others that have had limited offerings for their customers or members in our case haven't been able to meet the needs of the majority. And we feel that our offering, by offering both of those, we really meet the needs of all of our members.
Well, and I love that too, because, we as the member get to choose.
Absolutely.
Which I think is awesome.
That's not our style, it's My Style.
Yeah. Hey, I love that. I love that, Nathan. Awesome. Talking a little bit about member experience as well, because our whole member experience and strategic initiatives also all report up to you as the COO. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on member experience, customer experience, those things, and really what role our team at Mountain America plays in that.
Great question. I would tell you that there are two things for us that really are the top of the list and really supersede everything else we do.
Yeah.
The first is member experience. As you mentioned, that's our number one priority. And that's, if you look at our different departments within our organization, that's what they focus on. And when I say member experience, this is how we classify it or look at it. We want to make it easy. We want to make sure that if a member has a need, we can provide an easy solution for them. We want to make sure that our products and services meet the demands that our members have. The second thing, as I mentioned, there are two. The second is employee development. We feel that if we're going to provide a great experience, we've got to have employees that are trained, educated, and ready to help. And so those two things really supersede everything else we do. And if you look at each of the different departments, whether that's lending or the branches or wherever, that's the focus. One, we got to provide a great experience, exceptional member experience. Two, we've got to really focus on ensuring that our employees are developed and well-trained and ready to help our members.
I love that. Well, and coming off of your passion behind these two things, you recently won an award for all of this, right? CXO of the Year from Utah Business Magazine. Pretty awesome.
It is awesome because it's really a reflection of our organization. When you get to work with good people that have that same passion and drive, and when you are really working for an organization that's member owned, it's easy to get passionate about what we do because our members own the credit union and we exist solely to serve them. And so when you have that type of a mission that drives you as an organization, it's real easy to get people to jump on board and to really strive to help and serve the member. And again, that recognition really is a recognition for the credit union and the great things we're trying to do for the members.
I love that. And I love that you're so humble about it. But I actually want to read a little bit about what our CEO, Sterling, had to say about you, Nathan. He says his contributions have helped create the recipe for Mountain America's success by ensuring our members, employees, and the communities where we have branches are aligned, options are clear, actions are completed, and core values are reinforced. So obviously, all of that comes down to our mission, right? Helping our members achieve their financial dreams and our vision and all of that.
Yep.
But really, when it comes down to your contributions, I mean, you've been here for a long time.
I'm old.
No, you just started when you were really young, right? And some of those contributions that you've had, I want to share a little bit about this awesome thing that I think was your brainchild, Value Analyzer tool.
Yeah.
Tell me about this thing and what that means for our members.
Well, I'll tell you, as it is with anything, you start with an idea, and then when you work with other people, that idea just gets bigger and better. And we had an idea originally that if we're going to sit down with a member and we can help them, we need to illustrate, help them understand what we can do to help them. So for instance, when we sit down with a member and we realize, as my example I used earlier, they have an auto loan that they got from another institution. And with that loan, they're paying 9%. And if we can get them 5%, that's great. That sounds really good. 9% to 5%, less is more. Okay, great. But the Value Analyzer really looks at it and says, I had an opportunity to look at your balance, at your the interest rate you're paying, et cetera. As a result, if you refinance it with us, you will save, in this scenario, we'll say $78.32 every month. Over the life of the loan, you would have saved $16,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
So the tool was something that we were desirous to put together to help both our employee be more educated, to educate and help the member, and for the member to be able to understand, hey, if I do this, this is how it impacts me. This is how I benefit. And so the objective behind it was really to analyze the value that we're offering back. And so we had people that are a lot smarter than me that were able to put together the way that we could very quickly analyze and understand that and share that with the member and make it so that it meant more and the member could easily understand how they could benefit.
I love that. I love that. When it comes to financial education and maybe success in finance, right? All of us, money is part of all of our lives, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on how do we best manage that? And just really for all of our members out there, what's that, golden nugget that they need to know when it comes to managing their finances?
There are all kinds of resources. We've provided many resources. You've worked with a lot of people to provide resources for members to go out and see videos, to go and use tutorials, to learn about a number of different topics. So I think there's some great resources they should go and listen to and see and read about. And I think the way that you've done, and a number of other members of our team have worked to provide the resources in easy consumable formats, make it so that people can very quickly learn about things. So I think that's a way to do it. I still believe that from what I've seen and heard from most of our members, that when they go in and talk to one of our loan officers in our branches, they're able to just do a quick assessment and just see where the member's at. And overall, we're able to save our members millions of dollars by having a conversation, restructuring debt, looking at ways to save, taking their savings that are earning a low amount in one type of product and moving it to another product. I think getting that help or that advisement is huge. I'm not a plumber, so I don't do my own plumbing. I call a plumber to come and do the plumbing for me. By the same token, for most of our members, they're not financial experts. And I would really recommend, it doesn't hurt to go and spend 45 minutes to an hour and talk to an expert that can take a look at their situation and make recommendations or advise them about options that they have that can put them in a much different situation. And I have hundreds of examples of members that have done just that. Because they went into a branch or because they called the service center, they were able to be advised about options they could change and make in their financial picture, and it saved them tons of money and allowed them to be put on a different path.
I love that. So we get to be put on a different path, but we got to come for the guidance,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Another big thing that I think, again, was a team effort, but led by you, was during the pandemic, how quickly Mountain America was able to hop on and help our business members with PPP loans.
Yeah.
Right. And just the huge impact that we were able to make there. Talk a little bit about that and what that meant for our members, really.
Yeah, you go back to what was occurring in 2020 and, everything's falling apart with the pandemic. And we have a lot of businesses that are from, overnight or closing their doors and not knowing whether they're going to ever reopen them again. And the government, was trying to find ways to help small business as well as to help those that are employed by businesses. And so they put together some programs, PPP Loans in particular, that would enable small businesses to be able to, the intention of it, to be able to continue to pay their employees moving forward. And there was going to be a finite amount of resources, and it was going to be more or less a cash grab. Those that got their application in quickest to the financial institution that could work it the quickest, they were able to get funds before the funds were gone. And that was the fear early on is, gosh, with a limited amount of funding, who's going to get it and who isn't?
Right.
And our objective was to figure out a way that we could make sure that all of our business members that applied would be able to have those funds made available to them. And so, as you mentioned, we have incredible employees that really, in many cases, they were almost living here because they were working around the clock to try and put together the program, the application, all that was needed to be able to go live as soon as the SBA was ready, so that we could get those applications in, get them submitted and approved, and get the funding in the small business accounts. And that was really probably, I think, one of the best ways that during that time we could help, was to make sure that employees continue to get their paychecks from their employers. And overall, again, another testament to the great employees we have that pulled together. We were able to pull people from other areas that didn't have anything to do with SBA lending, but some of the other departments with the pandemic weren't quite as busy as they were. We pulled resources from other areas of lending, from other branch employees, et cetera, and they came in and put a lot of hours in so that we could make that available. And we had around 10,000 businesses that were able to get PPP funding because our teams were desirous to help.
Which is just incredible. 10,000 businesses. And as a result, Mountain America was able to be the #1 SBA lender, right, in Utah, not just because of PPP, because that team's amazing for all the other work that they do, but pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So. We definitely are passionate about making sure that our business members have the resources and things they need. And we love finding ways to help that small business entrepreneur type minded individual grow and thrive and be able to move forward with the aspirations they have. And the team's done a great job of not only during PPP, but overall over the last number of years being able to help a large number of small businesses.
Yeah, love that. Love that. So again, just a few of the things that you've helped really birth, for lack of a better term, since you've been here. So when it comes to, your position being the COO, I'm sure you've come across a lot of risk.
Yeah.
And maybe just over the years in general, and maybe it's more personal too. What is maybe the biggest risk you've ever taken, and did it pay off? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So as a financial institution, we're in the business of risk, right? Every time we make a loan, every time we open an account, there's an element of risk there. I had the opportunity to step into this role in 2008. And for those of you that don't know, maybe you were hiding under a rock, I don't know. But in 2008 into 2009, there was a little bit of a housing market crash that came into play. And because of that, on a regular basis, a monthly basis, I had the responsibility to go in and present to the board the large charge-offs that we had on a monthly basis. And these were loans that had gone bad and loans that we needed to charge off and move forward with. And so for me, that was not a fun experience, especially because in many cases, these were loans that I didn't originate. I didn't approve, right? But it was my responsibility to go in and figure out where we were and how we were going to get it cleaned up and to get it taken care of. And so as we went through that process and made some tweaks and changes, we had some choices and have had all along the way. After you have a bad experience with a bad downturn in the economy, what do? As a financial institution, do you pull back and stop lending? Do you continue to lend and make tweaks or changes? What do you do? And for us, we always go back to, why do we exist? Well, we exist to make sure that we can help our members define and achieve their financial dreams. And those dreams could be home ownership. They could be starting a business. There are many things that people have as their dreams. And so we had the decision to make, how do we handle that? As a credit union, that's kind of where we fell, as we said, well, we could pull back and we could really be stringent on the loans that we make, or we can continue to find ways to help members. And we chose to do that. Even during the downturn, we did not significantly pull back and stop lending. Those that had loans with us that were struggling, we didn't go to them and call their notes due and payable. We worked with members in many cases to try and help them get through. We did work out loans. We did a lot of things to help people get through. And those were some big risks. Some cases, some people would have said you should have stopped, you should have pulled back. For us, we chose not to do that. And I would say it's a risk that paid off because our members were able to get through those situations, and they've seen Mountain America as a partner, someone who's there to help them be in business, someone who's there to help their personal needs for getting their vehicle, their home, or prepare for retirement or whatever it is. And I think, again, as I said, we're a credit union, so risk is a daily thing for us.
Yeah.
But overall, we've chosen, we were a little bit risky, I guess you would say. When everybody was pulling back, we chose to continue to lend and to help members. And I think it's a risk that's paid off well.
That's awesome. I love that.